Welcome back to Jerodynamics. Okay, I've been doing like a series of like political type videos, like who am I politically, talking about different positions I hold. Um, but I wasn't going to do that. I was going to do a bunch of fun videos too. So let me at least do a couple fun videos for you. I may do a video showing, it's a little late for that, but I may do a video showing some of the stuff I got for Christmas, just because that's fun for me. Some magic stuff in there, you know, my usual stuff. But this guy deserves his own video talking about why I have this. Anybody know what this is? I think I'm supposed to hang it. If I get my office set up where I have like a thing in the background for my videos or whatever, this will definitely be hanging there. Whee! Okay, so that my lovely girlfriend got me that for Christmas as it's a stuffed toy. Obviously, it is a Mothman. So the Mothman. Why do you have a stuffed Mothman? Well, let me tell you. All right, so this is going to be one of my story time with Jerodynamic videos. I just came up with that. Nice, story time with Jerodynamics. Okay, so in high school and my early college days, I used to play drums in punk band. And we, we did some touring, played a couple of mostly played around Fresno, California, but did some shows out of town, and we did some traveling. I also at that time was this is probably not what you thought I was going to be saying. Took part in rap battles. I would do some rapping at rap battles. Yeah, and then also I was friends with a breakdancing crew. I did not breakdance. Obviously, I was not. I mean, I was smaller back then, but not small, not in good shape, not a athlete. And I don't know how much breakdancing you've watched, but those guys are some of the most insane athletes you'll ever see. They are gymnasts, basically. But anyways, so I went to a breakdancing competition up in San Jose. Some of my bandmates and this breakdancing crew and some friends, and we went up there to watch this breakdancing competition. I had thought maybe I would do a rap battle while I was up there, but I don't think I did. It was a long time ago, so I can't quite remember, but I don't think I did. I think I just went up there and watched my friends breakdance. And then, so it's San Jose, if you're familiar. San Jose is about 2.5 hours away from Fresno. Went to San Jose. It was a day trip. Not too bad to have to drive there and drive back in a day. I've done it before. I'll do it again. You know, it's not a bad trip, right? So anyway, so it's kind of late though. And, but, you know, me and my friend and a couple of the guys from the breakdancing crew were like, hey, you know what? We want to head back to Fresno tonight. The event's over. I mean, it's like midnight, but, you know, it's not too bad. We'll make it back by like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that, right? And we were like, okay, so let's go. Let's drive. And so we're in this little, I think it was probably a Chevy truck, like a S10 or something like that, with a camper shell on it. And there were 3 of us in the front in the cab of the truck. There were 2 or 3 guys laying in the back. Back then, you could kind of get away with that. Not so much these days, but they had a camper shell. They weren't going to fly out. They weren't going to be cold the whole way. But they were trying to. I think they were trying to sleep in the back. They probably did. Anyways, and I was trying to sleep up front. I was going to fall asleep in the cab. And really, the only person who was going to stay awake was the guy driving, who owned the truck. But what I told him was the other guy in the cab. There was three of us in the cab. The other guy in the cab was my guitarist and singer for the punk band I was in. And we had, and maybe I'll tell some of those stories at some point in time, we had many misadventures during our touring, during our playing shows. And I told my friend who was driving the truck, I was like, whatever you do, no matter how tired you get, don't let this other guy drive. Okay? We can use first names, I think. Marcus was the guy who owned the truck. Dan was the guitarist and singer of the band. I told Marcus, don't let Dan drive. Problem is it was a stick shift truck, and I didn't learn until after this trip how to drive a stick shift. I was very young. It was in my late teens, early 20s. And I think my next vehicle was a stick shift, so I really learned how to drive a stick shift after this. But at the time I didn't know how, but it was mostly freeway driving. I could have made it work. I could have figured it out, gotten myself up into, fourth or fifth gear, whatever it maxed out at, and, drove on the freeway. It would have been fine. It would have been better than what happened. So I told him, don't let Dan drive. I fall asleep. I wake up, who knows how long later. Keep in mind that this was in a time before widespread cell phones. So I didn't have a cell phone. No one had a cell phone. And I don't even think there was a clock on the radio. So didn't even really know what time it was at this point. Had no way to know. Unless I had a watch, which I don't remember knowing how long we had been on the road. I just remember waking up, being like, this doesn't look familiar, and looking over to my left, and someone is driving by on a motorcycle with the radio blasting. Yeah, all right, well, whatever. Okay, no, so the first time I wake up is we had pulled over and they were switching places. And I was just kind of like so tired. I was just like, okay, whatever. I guess that's what's happening. And I woke up again a little while later at some point and realized I did not know where we were. And I should, because I was very familiar with the trip from San Jose to Fresno. So I turn and look at my friend who's driving, the guitar player, not the guitar singer, not my friend Marcus that owned the truck. He was asleep in between us. I said, I don't recognize where we are. Do you know where we are, Dan? And he's like, no. You don't know where we are. You're driving. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, trying to get back. Trying to get back. Why don't you walk me through what happened, Dan? And he's like, I saw a sign that said to Fresno, and I took it, and then I realized that that was probably not the way I was supposed to go, and then I couldn't turn around, so I turned left, and I'm trying to get to a spot so I can turn around, and I'm like, okay, where are we? So I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, well, let's see if we can get to a spot where we can kind of turn around or figure out, if that's what happened, And while we're trying to figure this out, my friend in the middle wakes up. And he is confused at first and then angry. And then I told him, I was like, I told you that you shouldn't have let him drive. Because now we have no clue where we are. So he's like, pull over. So we pulled over. And he gets in the driver's seat. And my friend gets in the middle again. And so we start going again. And we're looking to see where, if we can find anything that kind of tells us where we are. Right? Because we don't know how much we believe his story, like why wouldn't you be able to turn around, like what's going on, so we're just trying to figure out where we are. Well, we finally see a sign, and so keep in mind, we saw a sign too. We saw a sign that said to Fresno, this way, right? We're like, okay, cool, we found the sign. I don't know where we are, but Fresno's that way, so let's go. We took it, and I don't know what exactly happened, if we took the wrong thing or we made a mistake at some point, but eventually we come to a dead end. A dead end. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Central Valley of California, which is where I'm assuming we are at this point, even though, because just by the looks of things, there's like vineyards and orchards and fields, but the Central Valley is a farming area. So it's a lot of country roads, a lot of farming, in between, San Jose and Fresno. San Jose a big city and Fresno a medium-sized city. It's probably not what you think of when you think of California if you're not from here, but that's what it is. It's a farming area. We come to a dead end, and we're like, oh wow, how did this happen? Okay, well, let's turn around. Let's head back. And so at this point, we're nervous. We're just starting to get really nervous. The gas, we don't have a lot of gas left. We're a little worried we're going to run out of gas. I don't know, again, how familiar you are with the Central Valley, but the Central Valley has a phenomenon that is fog. And some people may think they know what fog is. I see it in the movies. I know what fog is, Or I live on the coast. I know what fog is. You don't. You don't until you come to the Central Valley of California and experience fog. This is a side story. I love telling stories. So side story. I took a meteorology class in college. Meteorology, is that right? Anyways, weather class in college. The teacher was from Africa. Really cool guy. I can't remember his name right now, but really fun guy. He made the class a lot of fun. He told us he first moved here to teach at Fresno State because he wanted to study the fog, the phenomenon of fog. He wanted to study it, right? And so, he comes here to start teaching. I'm assuming the semester probably started in August or September, during the summer. So he's waiting for the winter to roll around, the fall, winter, when the fog starts. But he's teaching, and then all of a sudden the weather gets there, and, he's like, oh, this is the first day. It's supposed to be really foggy. Let me go see what it's like. And his son is like, hey, I want to go with you. It'd be fun, we spend some time together, right? So him and his son go out to experience the fog. Drives out to the country, and he's experiencing all right. He has to pull over to the side of the road and just park there until about midday when the fog burns off, because he was too scared to drive in the fog, because out in the country, fog makes it so you can't see too much past the front of your car. You're mostly driving based on looking for headlights, hoping that everybody else has their headlights on. And you might do some listening. Roll your windows down. It's cold outside, but you roll your windows down and turn your radio off so you can hear what's going on, because you might hear something driving at you. Growing up in the country outside of Fresno, California, we would come up to an intersection, and the only method you had was you pull up to this stop sign, and the oncoming traffic doesn't have a stop sign, so it's only a two-way stop. It's not a four-way stop. You pull up to it, you roll the windows down, you turn the radio down, you listen. Does it sound like a car's coming? No? Punch it. Because people will even drive fast in the fog. And so if you don't punch it, if you didn't hear them, by the time you hear them, by the time you're entering the intersection, there were accidents all the time. Anyways, so that's your best bet. You look for the lights, look for headlights, and you listen for a car and you punch it. Anyways, that's what this guy was experiencing. Lots of fog. He got scared. He pulled over because he had his son with him. He never took his son out with him again. He did go out and study the fog, but he never took his son with him again because he was scared. And yeah, that's the fog in the Central Valley. And that's what we were starting to experience. The fog was starting to roll in. We were running out of gas. It was the middle of the night. We had no clue where we were. We thought about, there's country houses out there. We thought about, stopping at one of these country houses and saying, hey, we're lost and, we're running out of gas and we don't know where we are and, asking for help. But it's the middle of the night and it's the country. So the people at their country house aren't expecting anybody to show up at their door, and they all have guns. Especially back then when California wasn't as anti-gun as it is now. But yeah, they all have guns, and you are taking a risk by pulling up to their house in the middle of the night in the country. So we decided not to do that. So anyways, so we're driving down the road. We're starting to drive slower and slower because the fog, because we're not idiots. And we're just trying to look for a sign, look for anything, figure out where we are. And off in the distance, in the middle of the road, mind you, it's a country road. There's 2 lanes, one going each way. I would say maybe about like 10 to 15 feet the road is wide, enough for 2 lanes, right? It's not a big road. Dirt on both sides of the road, like a field this way, a field that way, vineyards, orchards, right. Middle of the road. There's something in the middle of the road ahead of us. So we slow down even more. It's foggy. There's something out there. We don't want to hit it. We don't know what it is. And we're like, what the hell is that? What's in the road? We have all this other stuff going on. We're scared to death. Keep that in mind. Like, we are in our late teens, early 20s. Doesn't matter. We're scared. And what is that? So we slow down to almost a crawl. And finally our headlights hit this thing. Because at this point it's just like a shape in the fog. A slightly darker shape that, slightly darker than the fog around it. Definitely something in the road though. Our headlights hit this thing, and I say thing. It was something. It lifts its wings. Mind you, we'll get into what it could have been. Oh, hold on, real quick, pausing the video. My little buddy came home. We'll have to have a talk about his day here in a little bit, but I wanted to finish the video, right? We're at the good part. So the wings, they come up in the air, right? Mind you, it's foggy, wings lifting up in the air, fog starts swirling around the wings, right? Because it's, it's lift. That's how that works, right? The science of that whole thing. Fog is swirling around the wings. It's like massive. The wings are spread across the entire road, mind you. And like I said, it's about, at the minimum, a 10-foot, wide road, right? Freaking wings spreading across almost the entire road, right? And we're like, probably louder than that. Maybe said some words we probably shouldn't repeat here today. Damn thing, fucking, oh, there it is, takes off from the ground. And what was it doing in the road? Well, it was eating something. I don't know what. Dog, coyote, fox, whatever the hell it was in the road that it was eating. And it takes off, and it's got this thing in its claws, whatever it was, rabbit, starts taking off. And as it's like flying away, like it drops whatever it was trying to take off, right? So it's like, shoot, I lost my food. It takes off and it flies away, right? Terrified, just terrified. Mind you, we still didn't get a great look at this thing. And by the wingspan, there's really only, like, if it was just a bird, there's really only one option that it could have been. It's something called a California condor, which it would make sense because, it was eating something dead in the middle of the road. Keep in mind, they are almost extinct, extremely rare, massive birds that don't come down to the valley floor very often. They usually stay up in the foothills or mountains, right? Logically, that's probably what it was, but even that is, not as logical as you would think because it's so rare and so out of the ordinary for it to be there. And even if it was, for us to come across it like that, no, there's a couple of things that could have been besides that. Could have been a demon. Oh, my camera did a little zoomy thing. Could have been a demon. Could have been a demon. It could have been Satan himself, Lucifer, the devil. I don't know why Lucifer was eating a rabbit or a fox or whatever it was in the middle of the road, but he was. Or my favorite explanation of what I think it was is the Mothman. Yes, the Mothman. That is what I think I came across. Even though the Mothman is more known to be over on the East Coast, I think he came over to visit us that day here on the West Coast. That's what I think I came across. And that's why I have this little Mothman toy that I got for Christmas. Such a cute little toy, right? I am highly considering getting a Mothman tattoo also. I may show it in a video depending on when and where I get it. And I'm trying to decide what style of artistic rendering I would like to get for the Mothman, that I want to put on my body for the rest of my life. I've only got one small tattoo right now, and so getting like a kind of a big Mothman tattoo is kind of like a kind of jumping the shark, but that's okay. I'm still considering it. But anyways, I'm a fan of the Mothman. I think it's very interesting. Is it a possibility that that was the Mothman? Sure, of course. Is it more likely that it was a California condor? Yeah, but even that is pretty crazy. And I mean, it also could have been like a demon or Satan or something. What do you guys think it was? Because there's 3 people that were in the front of that truck. The 2 or 3 people that were laying in the back, they have no clue. They were not able to corroborate the story. But the 3 people in the front of that truck all saw the same dang thing. All right? So it happened. It was crazy, and it happened. Oh, by the way, side note on this extended time video, Jerodynamics story time, or story time with Jerodynamics, whatever that ends up being, right? We found out that, and if you're familiar with the area, you'll know, but most people won't know. We found out that we came across a town finally. It was called Dos Palos. And Dos Palos is in the middle of the country. It's definitely not a place we should have ended up at, especially since we were trying to go from San Jose to Fresno. Never should have come to Dos Palos. That's still not 100% sure how we got there. But it was a small town. We were able to get some gas. We were able to get back to the main freeway, probably right about where he got off the freeway at, and we were able to make it home. And so our trip from San Jose to Fresno took about twice as long as it should have in the middle of the night. When we got to that gas station, the guys that were in the back of the truck were really, really upset that we weren't in Fresno because they were tired and they were like, why, how? And, it's hard to explain, But everybody wanted to beat up Dan. I told them, no, you can't beat up Dan because, one, he's my friend, my guitar player, and my singer. And then also because I told you not to let him drive, stupid. But we made it home. And, so that's one of my stories, one of my favorite stories. And I have Mothman to show for it, so. All right, everybody. Hope you like that. I will be doing some more stories. I do enjoy telling them. And so I hope you enjoyed listening. And yeah, everybody, take care. Have a good day.